Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Burstner Ixeo. So under the bonnet just here we've got your washer fluid over on the top left, power steering fluid next to that, and your engine coolant just down here on the bottom left hand side. The paint code, which is called gold and white, the actual paint code number is 506, and that is this nice cab colour just here, which does actually follow on through to the back end of the vehicle as well. The engine oil gets topped up through this cap just here at the top, and you can just see in there, lovely and clean, nothing sort of pale white or anything like that in there, which is a good sign. Your engine oil dipstick is this one just here at the front. This whole system just here is your click and go auto clutch system, so you don't need to use this if you don't actually want to use it, but it's there just in case you need to use it as an automatic vehicle for any reason. Your chassis plate is this one just here, and you've got your air filter which sits inside this box just there. The engine battery in these chassis sits under the floor in the cab, just in front of the passenger seat. So if you want to jump start the vehicle, you've got a positive terminal here under the cap and an earthing terminal just here, and it does say there only for jump start. On the near side, in the inside near side door, we've got your bonnet release handle just there. Underneath this passenger seat, we've got your EBL box, which is your power supply unit. So you've basically got all of the power that gets sent from leisure battery, hookup lead, all gets sent straight to there and then gets diverted around the vehicle as and where it needs to. So it's a really nice big quality bit of kit in there. Your fuel filler cap is this one just inside here. Ignition key is needed for that. Freshwater inlet point is this one just here, and your gas locker is next to that. So if I just use both hands to do that, so you've got a 6 kilo propane bottle in here as we speak. You can have 2 of the 6 kilos, or even I think the 13 kilo propanes will fit in there as well. All you need to know really is turning it on is anti-clockwise round to the left, turning it off is clockwise round to the right. I'm going to leave it on for the moment, and you don't need to know anything about that regulator up there. It's purely just regulating the gas to the right pressure. When you run out of gas from this bottle, undo that nut just there after turning the bottle off, pop it onto your new one and tighten it up. The hookup point is this one just down here. The wastewater drain off point is this one. So just turning this dial here drains out your wastewater. Where it is at the moment, this handle is actually in the draining out position. So if I was to pull any water through the tap and drain it out, or get it to go down the sink, it would all come out here like that. And if I turn this, that should stop the water coming out from there. Toilet cassette locker is this one just here at the back. Now you can see you've got a freshwater flush system, which means that you haven't got to worry about any separate flush fluids. So to take the cassette out, lift up the little green tab, and that then allows you to take the entire toilet system out. All you need to know really, to be honest, is to empty it out from here, and when you're actually physically emptying it, you should be holding down the little green button there at the back, and that is it. So, round to the off side of the vehicle, see your awning is in there where you put it. The boiler itself, which is a Truma Combi boiler, is nice and simple. There's just 2 things I need to show you. So you've got the little yellow tab just down there, which you should have on your vehicle at the moment, which is a drain off valve. But you've also got the blue one just there, which is the newest style. So all you need to know really, the way to use it, it's actually in its draining off position at the moment. So any water that was inside the boiler should now be on the floor outside. So to drain that, to stop that from draining out, you turn the dial at the top and then push this blue button in. So now that that blue button's been pushed in, any water that gets sent to the boiler will stay inside the boiler. If you want to drain the boiler out of all of its water, you lift this up and twist this top one. So you see the little blue button now has come out, and that means that the water's draining out onto the floor. So I'll just go in reverse, and there you go. So that's all closed off now, so any water that goes into the boiler will stay. The actual cupboards themselves have got these nice little metal bars which hold it up really nice and strong, much stronger than the standard way of doing it, which is just like little clips, and a lot less likely to break, which, you know, to be fair, the clips are quite common to snap as they go brittle. You've got this vent just here, which is actually the boiler vent. So you will find condensation building up at the bottom of this vent here and dripping down here. You can't really do anything about that, it will just happen, but that's nothing to worry about. These two vents just here next to your Ixeo sign are for the fridge. So if you had the fridge lit up on gas, you will feel a little bit of warm air coming out through this top right hand side, but not really enough to sort of notice, to be fair, on this style of fridge. The next cupboard down here, there's not really much to show you in it, it's just like, you know, a fair amount of storage. So if I just show you in the cab now, like I was saying outside, you've got the click and go auto clutch system, which, to be fair, is a really nice expensive bit of kit to have fitted, but if you don't want to use it, you don't need to use it. So you've got this switch just here, so when you turn that on, it essentially just activates that pneumatic system in there, and you've got the button on the gear stick. So if you wanted to have a go at using that, you can do. Otherwise, just leave the button off and drive it as a normal vehicle, a normal manual vehicle. So you've got a really nice high quality Pioneer head unit, which opens up as you turn the ignition on. It does say there that you've got the smartphone navigation system on there, so if you wanted to connect up your phone to it, you can do, and have the sat nav working through that. You've got the air conditioning, which works from this little button just here. You can lock and unlock the cab from inside, which is really helpful. You've also got a 6-speed manual gearbox and cruise control, which works from this little switch just down here. So turning it on like that, and then adjusting your speed as you go. You've got the electric adjusting mirrors, so you just literally just select which mirror you want to move, and then, you know, move it as a little joystick basically. And your windows. The only other thing I really want to point out to you is that this little cover down here with the 2 screws at the top, if you ever get a management light come up on the dash, you need to have a little look inside that cupboard there. Literally just take the 2 screws out and you'll have access there to your OBD reader. So the OBD reader is really simple. It just basically reads any codes that might come up on the dash. I'm only saying that because it's a newer vehicle and they do flag up codes every once in a while, just to sort of, you know, random bits and pieces usually. So I'm just going to shut this door and then climb through to the back to show you what we've got back here. So first things first, we've got your main control panel up here inside the door. So as soon as you walk into the door, you get access to this. This little light just here means that I've turned the 12 volt on. And to do that, you literally just press the button there, and to turn the 12 volt off, turn them on there. All right, so 12 volt on. Then if I want to have a look at the battery voltages, I press on the left button just here for the engine battery voltage. So if we watch the top scale, 14 volts in the engine battery, which is really good. And if I want to check the leisure battery, just shy of 13 in that. So again, absolutely perfect. So if I want to check the freshwater level, I press the top button there and look at the bottom scale. So the freshwater is empty, wastewater empty as well. If I want to turn the pump on, press up on that switch just there. And if I had a hookup cable plugged in, we'd have this little light on up here. So turning a pump switch on in this one particular vehicle is slightly different to the one that you've got at the moment, where the pump is actually a submersible pump. So the pump itself essentially sits inside the freshwater tank, which is down here. Okay, So the freshwater drain will be just down here, but underneath this seat as well, if you ever needed to get to that. Or at least it should be, unless it's in one of these cupboards. No, okay. So yeah, the freshwater drain will be down there by the tank. Right, so because you've got a submersible pump, the pump doesn't work on pressure, it works on power. So the big plus side to having a submersible pump is the fact that there's not as much pressure all the way around the vehicle all the time. So you get much less likely to get leaks dotted around the vehicle, and they're a bit easier to work with usually as well. So having a submersible pump means that it doesn't run at all until you lift the tap up. I don't know if you can hear the pump running down there. So as you can see, when I turn the tap off, the pump stops. So that's a really good thing. I mean, like I said, it stops any sort of serious pressure building up. You know, if a tap's going to be leaking, it's going to be leaking regardless, but it stops any of that excess pressure. So having access to that is really helpful. So once you turn the pump switch on, all you have to do to actually get it working is lifting up the tap. So that'll work for any of these taps, any of the shower taps, sink taps, even the toilet as well should be working from that same pump. So having the freshwater flush as well, just on the sort of talk of pump, having the freshwater flush does mean that you have to have some water in the tank at all times if you want to flush the toilet. So, you know, just something to bear in mind. At the moment, the water tank is completely and utterly empty, so we won't really be able to do anything at all. All right, so that's the control panel and the pump. So I'm going to turn the pump switch off for now because I don't actually need to use it. The cooker above the oven is, again, nice and simple. All you have to do to actually use it is press in and round to the right to light the grill up, as you can see. Or push in and round to the left for the oven. There you go. So that is as simple as it gets on that sort of thing. The fridge is also very, very simple, but I will just run you through it. So the way that you actually use it, mind my face in the reflection, the way you actually use it is press the button there to turn it on. It's automatically selected whichever energy it thinks is the most efficient and the best one to use. So straight away it's chosen gas. The reason it's chosen gas is because there's no hookup plugged in and the engine's not running, so the 12 volt won't work. So it's just chosen that automatically, so you don't have to do it. If you do want to change it manually, or if it chooses the wrong one, all you have to do is just press one of these buttons twice and it will switch over to whichever one you want. So at the moment you should get, oh, there you go. I was going to say you should get a warning light come up there. Because there's no hookup plugged in, it can't work on it. So we go back to gas, it'll light up. There you go. And that's it, it's on. So the two ways to get the fridge cold by itself is either the mains cable or the gas. And that will take a good sort of 3 hours or so to actually get completely cold. When you have pre-cooled the fridge and you've pre-cooled this, you know, all your stuff inside of it, switch it over to the 12 volt simple there whilst you're driving. Doing that basically just keeps the fridge cold as you go, and then when you get to where you're going, switch it back over to one of these two. Over here on the right is literally just a temperature setting basically, or a power setting, just essentially how cold do you want the fridge to get. So yeah, it's as easy as that. I'll just leave the gas running on there for a minute just so we can make sure it gets cold. Although obviously the habitation check has been done already. So yeah, the sink, anything that's got a drain in it like this will go directly down to your wastewater tank. You've got a 3-burner gas hob, which you will need an igniter or something to light any of those up. But otherwise, you know, very, very simple. Also got a huge cutlery drawer in here, which is factory fitted, and loads of storage down here. So the bin should, there you go, the bin comes out on its little runners. So in this cupboard as well, really important, is your gas isolator taps. So Let me just quickly explain this. It's really simple how it works. So you've got this one pipe that comes in at the top, which basically goes directly to your gas bottles or the regulator in the gas tank. So that comes directly from the bottle. So as soon as you turn the bottles on, the gas comes up to here and goes there. It then goes down this pipe to each one of these isolators, which are all currently on, and gets sent off down those pipes to the appliance that it's correlated to. So the bottom one here is for your oven and grill, fridge, boiler, and 3-burner hob. And I can just tell that by the symbols that are on them. So if I want to isolate the gas from the 3 burners, I turn it 90 degrees, and that is completely stopped this gas coming from the bottle going to the 3 burners. So it is as simple as that. Turning it back on again, that's it. You don't need to do that for any other reason than thinking that there's a problem or a gas leak. You do not need to do that every time you get out of the vehicle. Turning the bottle off, like I said, like I just explained, if you turn the bottle off in the cupboard, absolutely no gas comes to anything at all because it doesn't come to here. All right, but that's that. So that's the gas tank, the gas isolate taps. So the microwave couldn't fit up here. I know those of you that are watching that aren't buying the vehicle won't understand this, but the microwave couldn't fit up here because the cupboard itself was too shallow. It's not deep enough for a microwave up there, mainly due to the fact that this bit here is there because that'll have lots of wires behind it and things. So it wasn't possible to put it in here, so we have put it at the top of the wardrobe here, which I actually think looks quite nice, to be fair. I know that, you know, a lot of people would ideally use that for maybe shoes and things like that, but you've got the main clothes hanging rail here, and, you know, I think it's a pretty good size wardrobe anyway, as it is. But like I said, the microwave is up there and plugged into the socket, which was already there, so it did save quite a lot of hassle putting it up there. But there you go, that's where that is. In this cupboard we've got paperwork for the vehicle in this brown box, and your trip switches there. So when you're plugged into the mains, you need to have a little look in there. If you can't get anything to work on the mains cable, have a little look in here and make sure they're all upright and showing a bit of red. In this wardrobe as well, you've also got your solar regulator. So you can see there's 6 wires going into the bottom of it, which means that the solar panel is coming in on 2. So this is the solar panel wires, and you've got 2 batteries that are being charged up via the one solar panel. So that means, because it says duo controller there, it means that both the engine and leisure batteries are both being charged up at the same time via that one solar panel, which is really good. And that's the reason why we've got such high voltages in the batteries there. Like I said, I'm not hooked up or anything, but we've got really high voltage purely because of that solar panel. So it's really helpful to have that. The Truma combi boiler. This can sometimes be a little bit awkward to explain and to understand, but I'm going to try my best with it. So I'm going to explain it how I always explain it. So this bottom dial just here is combi E, and that basically means combi energy, or it decides what energy the boiler uses to do whatever you tell it to do up here. Okay, so at the moment the combi E is facing this little gas symbol, which means that whatever you tell the boiler to do up here, it will do it via the gas. All right, if I go up 1 or up 2, that will change, and now anything I tell the boiler to do up here, it will do it on electric only. Okay, so it's electric 1 and 2. If I go down 1 or 2, it gives us gas and electric at the same time. So now, if I left it there, if I had a mains cable plugged into the vehicle and the gas switched on, I could go up here, choose what I want the boiler to actually do, and it would do it on gas and electric at the same time. At the moment though, I haven't got a mains cable plugged in, but I do have the gas switched on, so I'm going to leave it here on gas. Which, to be fair, a lot of the time you're going to be leaving it on gas, generally speaking. So that's the energy selector at the bottom. The top one, that just says combi on it, is the one that actually tells the boiler what to do. So if I go down 1, it will light up green, and we'll get a little gas flame symbol there, which means heating only. Okay, So down 1 is heating only. If I go down 2, we get heating and hot water at 60 degrees. Back to the middle turns the entire boiler off. If I go up 1, that gives us hot water only. And if I go up 2, it gives us hot water at 60 degrees. So up is hot water only, down is either heating only or heating and hot water at the same time. Okay, so like I said, a bit awkward to sort of get to grips with, but once you've got the hang of using this, it is so simple. So just for example, if I didn't have the gas switched on, but I did have a mains cable plugged in and I wanted to use this boiler on the mains only, I would go up to the top, down here, to select 240 volt, and then tell the boiler what to do. So if I wanted to use the boiler on electric and I only wanted hot water, I would go electric only, hot water only. Okay, but any second now it will come up flashing red because there's not actually any mains plugged into the vehicle at all, so it won't work. Well, if we left it for a minute it would. So that is how that works. All right, so I hope that makes sense. So the most important thing to remember though with that is the fact that if you are going to want to heat the water up on, you know, either hot water here or hot water down here, you need to make sure that the boiler is actually full of water first. So you need to make sure that you've got your tank of water, your fresh tank of water, pump switched on, and then just pull this tap up to the hot side and wait for the water to come through nice and clearly. When you first do this, because the water tank is empty and the boiler is currently empty, when you fill the fresh water tank up with water and turn the pump on, it will take a few seconds to actually draw the water through, because the way that it works, we're trying to keep it reasonably short. The way that it works is you've got the water tank down there. Any of the cold water fed appliances, so the cold side of the tap, the cold side of the shower, the cold side of the sink in the bathroom, gets sent directly through the pump from the tank to the tap. So that's the cold side, nice and simple. But if you've got an empty boiler, what happens is with the hot side of the taps is the water gets drawn through the pump from the tank to the boiler first, and then it gets pumped around to the hot side of the tap. So if the boiler's empty, it has to fill the boiler up first before you'll get anything coming through the tap on the hot side. Okay, so again, I hope that makes sense. But essentially, if you don't have any water in the the boiler, you will not get water coming through the hot side of the tap. So you need to just leave it on the hot side just for a minute to allow the boiler to fill up, and then you'll start getting water coming through. And it's only once you've done that, once you start getting water coming through the hot tap, that's the only way of knowing that the boiler's full, and the only way that you can actually use the hot water on the boiler there. Bathroom, nice and simple. You've got your standard mixer tap just here for the sink. The shower system is quite clever, how it sort of makes up. But again, you'll get to grips with that really simply, really quickly. Cupboard in the bathroom, nice storage in there. So the toilet, like I said, you do need to have some fresh water in the tank to flush this toilet, okay? But basically press the button and that will turn the pump on and pump the water around here. To drain it into the tank, into the cassette, open this flap, and that's now opened. Probably can't tell, but it's opened that. I close it. So, you know, simple as that. Open and close it into the cassette. If you want to take the cassette out from outside, you need to make sure that you've got that in the closed position. Otherwise, you will not be able to take the cassette out because it will be in its locked position. Shower, again, I don't need to show you that because it's nice and simple. But there you go. That is it. Right, so I think I've pretty much shown anything. Well, actually we've got the TV up there as well. Telly, yeah, okay, so that is the TV actually. Right, let's pull that out. So TV in there, it's a nice Vision Plus one, obviously it's a nice new one. Fits really nicely in that cupboard there, so we can push it all the way back in like that. It still goes around it. The The bed comes down with the handle, as you know, so you literally just lift the handle and the bed will come down, and you've got your ladder there to go onto that. But yeah, so briefly, if you wanted to pack the vehicle up and drive off to your next destination, main things to look out for: make sure that all of your windows are shut completely and handles are locked over. Quite important to leave the skylights locked as well when you're driving. I know that in the summer it's nice to have them open, but to be fair, I've seen it plenty of times where they fly off if it's a bit windy, and if you wanted to replace this skylight up here, you're probably looking at about £2,000. So it's a good idea to leave them all shut. Use your air conditioning in the cab if you want to keep the van cool. But yeah, other than that, your windows, all your lockers on the outside, make sure they're all in the locked position. Make sure your glass like this is down, because if that's up and it comes down, it will smash. I know they're sort of made to be nice and tough, but you know, they will still break. Make sure your bed is in the locked position. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Lovely build quality, as per any Burstner really. You know, I think you're going to love the vehicle, and hopefully you don't get any issues with it. But any problems or anything you want me to go through again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.